And I don't know how deep it goes or what it is. Like someone posted the other day on Twitter how California has been, red for the last 15 years, but all the machines are owned by Soros or something. And I kind of believe it. Oh, we're live. We're live. Anthony Brown here with Brian Adams. Hey, I guess we still don't know what I'm calling it, what we're calling it. Dominate your life, real talk for the real world. Uh, Regular Joe's making a lot of dough. Who knows what it is? Hey, today we are going to be talking about. You do want to stick around if you do have your own small business. You're in construction. We're talking about setting the systems up, your contracts. Man, and you don't want to miss it with Anthony with the contracts and the systems and having a business versus having a job and touching on uh, the contractors, the business owners that don't want to spend money on marketing, yet want to sit around and snivel and cry about not having work. We're going to touch on. I think Anthony said he heard something about the new COVID variation. I seen something about the whole vaccine and what it didn't do and what it did do, and that whole thing is blown up. And remind me if I don't bring it up. This week I'm going to miss a buddy of mine's funeral that I've known for 40 years, and at the end we stopped talking to each other because of COVID. And I told my daughter today, I was like, man, I hope you lived long enough to see that I was right about everything. I'd like to show up just to say that.
What did he die of, man?
Cancer, but not but yeah, and it
wasn't COVID.
No, and he beat it and it came back. And I want to touch on Kari Lake and her not giving up the fight. Hey, but we're here. Hey, we haven't done this in a while, but I'd like Anthony to kind of introduce himself, give it like a 2-minute synopsis, 5-minute synopsis, where you went to school, you grew up, all this stuff, how you got to where you're at right now. And today we postponed it. We were going to go live at 3:00 California time. Ended up going live 5:00 California time because Anthony is in the trenches, man. He's not talking about how you run a business, a construction business. The motherfucker's running the construction business. So he had a big deal. He had to meet with homeowners and take care of business before he could help you guys take care of business. But with that, Anthony, give us a little background of you.
Yeah, man. I started out helping my uncle remodel homes and flip homes when I was like 13 during summer break. And that transpired into working for a buddy of his when I graduated high school. I did that for a minute and then went down to Phoenix to go to culinary school and ended up getting caught up in the big boom that was happening around 2006. Learned how to frame homes, and then the economy tanked and I kind of moved around and shifted a little bit and just kind of stayed with construction for many years, all the way up until, probably about 9 years ago, I decided, I started my own little side gigs here and there, long before 9 years, but it was about 9 years ago that I decided to actually start like a company.
Hey, but let me stop you right there. Those little side gigs is what people don't understand. And we touched on it last week a little bit, like all the shit that I like, man, I would do something, it didn't work out, and I'd be back to working for somebody else, and I'd stay there as long as I could, and fill up the bank account again, and get a little money under my belt, and I'd go out and do my own thing again, and get a little bit further this time, and then that didn't work out, and I'd be back in the trenches and filling up my bank account again, and then trying it. But it's all those little somethings that lead to where you are right now. I'm sure, like, man, if you sit back and looked at all the shit that you went through and all those little somethings that you kind of breezing over, they really led you to where you are right now. Remember, I think, and we got that clip that's floating around right now, that the whole butterfly effect about, it's like all that shit that you went through is like, whether, you I don't know, you wouldn't choose to go through it, but it's all that crap that you did that got you to where you are right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, even like back then, like I didn't realize what I was putting myself through. And even then I thought, woohoo, I'm making $25 an hour. I'm doing great. I mean, and looking back at it, it's just like, man, I can't even believe that was even, suffice it. Like why would even bother? But, when I was doing that, I wasn't planning on starting a company. I was just, I was sick of working for people and You know, I was basically skirting taxes. And I was just trying to make as much money as I could. And then, you know, I just realized that you can only do so much with so much. And I just hit a brick wall with it all. And ultimately, and so like I said, 9 years ago, I actually started to I decided to start a legitimate business. And it was about,
and not in Arizona, right? Or was you in
no,
Arizona still?
no. So I didn't really do much in Arizona. It was when I moved up to Oregon and Washington that I kind of started, you know, doing my own thing.
Yeah.
That was right, because right after the housing market crashed,
Yeah.
I moved up. I literally I sold everything, hopped on a motorcycle, and rode around and just became a vagabond.
I love that. One,
Went up to Washington, wrecked my motorcycle, and had to stay there because had to recover. Ran out of money and just started working and doing construction up there. And, and then I moved here to Boise about 9 years ago and started, you know, my own company immediately. And I started it because the guy wanted me to, he wanted me to have all the stuff I had to have to be a business to work for him for an hourly rate.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there 3 weeks in going, man, this is stupid.
Yeah, because you've already did everything. I mean, you
Yeah.
are a legitimate business, and this guy's smart enough to talk you into working for peanuts. Good for him, though.
$20 an hour, and I had to supply my own nails to do finished carpentry. And I was like,
good for him.
I was like, no, dude, I don't think so. I mean, I will say, I mean, it was the catalyst of me actually getting, because, you know, you move to Idaho, man, and it's literally like $1,000, and then to get your insurance for just you, and then it's $35, and you know you're in business, you know, you're down at the state house. But about 4 years after that, 5 years after that, no, it was about 4 years. I had you know, put myself into, you know, the throes of business ownership, and all I was really doing was spinning my wheels trying to figure out how to pull my head out of my ass when I didn't even know where my head was to begin with. I just knew I was suffocating. And I remember I was like literally right before I met you, man. I was up against it, and I was like, man, I'm going to quit. Hey, fuck this. I'm just done. I'm so sick of this bullshit. And I literally Googled quit your business. Right? Literally Googled that.
Dominate those keywords, man. Let me take some notes. I'm gonna grab.
I was just looking for some other sob story motherfucker to tell me why I should be a bitch and quit. You know? Yeah. And ultimately what it did was it led me on to some, you know, some people out there who had been down that road themselves and had perspectives I didn't even think about. One of them was actually you. And, you know, and I remember that night, I Googled that, and I stood in my bathroom, and I was like, literally, I was pulling my hair out, you know, and I was just like, God damn it, man. Like, why does this fucking suck so bad? Why I did not this is not why I got into business, man. Why the fuck does my business suck so goddamn bad?
Yeah.
And the reflection in the mirror, you know, I mean, you know, you have your own inner monologue going on, and the voice said, it's because you suck.
Yeah.
Quit being a bitch. Quit sucking. And I was like, well, fuck. Well, how do I do that? You know? And so I just started Googling shit and ran across people like yourself and other mentors and just started applying shit. And here I am today. And
I know, because even
I would say I have a lot of the same fucking problems. They're just, you know, my perspective has changed on it, because it's like I tell my team all the time, you know, they're like, you know, well, this is going wrong or that's going wrong. I just look at them. I was like, you motherfuckers need better problems. You need better problems. That's it. You know?
Yeah. Because like, man, even a year, I think, because we worked together for a year doing a bunch of like different little stuff. And like a year into, after we knew each other, you were starting over again. And you said, man, we did all this shit. And you were glad you did, because you realized I don't want anything to do with any of that shit that we just did for 365 days, Brian. This is what we're going to do right now, moving forward. This is all 100% focused on this. And since then is when I've seen you really starting to freaking grow. You knew you weren't going to be doing no fucking handyman shit anymore, fixing light sockets and screens and like all of that. You know what I'm saying? You got
I was just hustling, trying to make a buck any way I could, really.
Yeah. And then like, man, you somehow got focused on it and stuck it out. It's like guys who will get they'll get golf lessons from someone, and all it does when you get golf lessons is it screws your game up for the next
Yeah.
6 fucking months.
Yeah.
And you're into it and you're screwing up and you're sucking and your friends are talking shit. And it's like, man, are you going to stick with what this instructor told you should be doing because it's you screwing it up? But they always go back to what they thought was going to work, and the hack and the slice and the this, and because in the moment it feels better than the suck. And you didn't. You stuck with the suck for a long time to get to where, like right now, it just sucks a little bit less, I guess. But man, I've been proud of you, man. These last couple of years, you've just been, just banging it, man. Like kicking ass.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that, by the way. But I mean, you're talking about embracing the suck, man, and that's something that's just like, when you're making money, when you're in business and you're doing anything worthwhile, man, you're not, it's like you're not doing floors, man. I'm not building homes. I'm not a contractor. You're not this. You're not that. You're not what you think you are. All you're doing is solving problems. It's every day. You're a problem solver. And solving problems is easy when you realize that. For me, it was like I thought I was going to get to some place where problems just didn't exist, like some fantasia, fantasy land of utopian bliss, and that shit just doesn't exist unless you decide to live in a cardboard box on the side of the river or something.
Man, that's the truth. Because the first, like, I don't know all this business shit, but like years ago, I bought this freaking business book. It was real thick too, and it was at the martial arts supply store where I used to get these gis and karate belts and stuff, and it always sit there. And every time I'd go in to get supplies, I'd be looking at this big ass book, but it was wrapped in cellophane, man. I couldn't even go flip through the pages. But it was like $99, and that was a lot of freaking money. And it was like how to make $100,000 a year teaching martial arts. And I'd just go in there and look at it, and I'd leave, and I'd go back in there and look at it, and I'd leave. And finally, man, I'm like, bite the bullet, man. Here's the $99. Like, and you yank the plastic off of this damn thing and flipping through it. And the book was okay, but it was the one thing out of that book that just like will never ever go away. And just really, it starts off with you're always going to have problems if you don't want. And it was written in Korean, and the way they freaking talk, it was like, always problem. You don't want problem. You don't get business. And it was written just like that, man. It's like, so if you're going to open up a dojo, or if you're going to open up a business, you're going to you're always going to have problems. If you don't want the problems, don't open up the dojo. And that was the first fucking page. And if I didn't read anything else, that was worth the $99 if it stuck with me. And kind of like all that crap that you went through in Arizona. And even when we met, because I don't know, it was like, maybe if you met me 3 years earlier, 4 years earlier, I could have been this far ahead. And that's not true. And I'm telling whoever's watching this right now, it doesn't, it's like, you've got to be ready for it. Because, Confucius says that when the student's ready, the teacher will appear. And and that's 100% on the mark, bullseye. And it's not that the teacher appears. The teacher has always been there. The lessons have always been there. You just haven't been mentally ready to understand them or learn from them or take action on them. You've always heard it. We've always heard it. Everything that we're talking about and sharing with people in business, they've heard it over and over again, except now they may hear it to where it seeps in because they're mentally ready for it. The student is now ready for it. It's always there. It's just, are you hearing it at the right time when you need to? Because until you start taking action on it and really understanding it, none of everything that we talk about is going to help anybody.
Yeah, it's like the lips of wisdom speak only unto the ears of understanding.
Yeah. And it's frustrating as hell because I look back going, man, why couldn't I learn this earlier? How come I didn't hear that earlier? And it's like, I probably did. I just wasn't ready for it. And nothing's going to take the place of that.
I had a couple of employees who worked for me about a year and a half ago, and I've had employees work with me that I've helped to, start their own companies, and you've done the same thing. It's like, here, let me show you how to be an owner. Let me show you how much, it's like, you think I'm making all the money, well, here, let me show you what it's all about. You want to start your own company, let me teach you. Right.
Yeah.
And I had these two employees walk into my office and they're like, and I said, well, what do you really want out of your career? And like, well, we want to make lots of money and we want to do this. We want to do that. I was like, well, you're never going to do that working for me.
Yeah.
Right. There's a glass ceiling. I can only pay you so much.
Yeah.
I said, so, it's like, well, they're like, well, we want to start our own company. We want, we want to be where you're at. We want to sit in your chair. And I was like, no, you don't.
No,
You're not ready for that shit. You are not ready for these problems.
But like JB said, let's do it. Big money. And JB was messaging me earlier talking shit about you showing up 2 hours late. Said, "Oh, man, your priorities have gotten messed up." But I met JB and we talked back and forth for a year and a half, 2 years before he ever decided to do anything. But he was going through some personal shit too. But like you, man, like all of us is going through something, man. It's like there's never going to be a
right he's come a long way too, man.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Like that right now with the shop that he's got and the cabinets that he's making and just all of it. I mean, it's like, and every little stepping stone just gets you higher to where you start to see a whole different horizon. You know what I mean? Because man, when we're down here and we're in the gutter and we're behind the 8 ball trying to make decisions because we owe so much money and the rent's not being paid and you can't keep the cell phone, all of that stuff, man. It's like you're so low and sad. It's like you can't see your potential. But you make a couple of little steps and you kind of rise a little bit above it. And you start seeing stuff like right where you're at right now. It's like boom, but man, a couple of more steps and you're on the Empire State Building looking at everything to where it's mind-boggling how far you can go if you want to put in the effort. Because I look at my own life just where, and I've lived pretty good, but I've fulfilled maybe 10%, if that, of my full potential. Just because of family things, they're not wanting to put in the effort because nothing comes without putting in the effort. So you got to be willing to trade off the time versus what you really want. So I'm happy where I'm at and doing what I'm doing now. And like having you with this podcast, it's because I'm trying to reach these contractors and you're in it. And I feel like I'm in it now because I'm helping my daughter and it's fun. Like we're driving around today and, freaking singing George Michael and going from here to there. And she's kind of getting frustrated, like, time, because I told her, I said, what the hell's the name of my book for contract? I said, all this stuff, like for contractors only. I said, what's my tagline? She goes, master your trade, now master your business. I said, that's the subtitle of the book. I said, but what's my tagline? And it's like, I said, it's if you have to, and she goes, oh, if you have to be there, it's not a job. If it's not a business, it's a job. I said, exactly. Yeah. I said, right now it's a job for you. You've got to slowly get there. I said, eventually, I said, you'll be where you want to be. You'll have people doing this and answering the phone and you kind of just overseeing this and you got to keep everything tracked. It can't be in your head. It's got to be written down. You got to know all. It's like, and it's fun watching her grow and I'll go with her on estimates and she'll hear me talk and so
your daughter's doing wood floors too now?
She's got her own business thing that she's doing. She's learning a little bit about the trade part, how to run the machines, how to do this and all this stuff. And I'm trying to really talk her into taking some online courses and getting some kind of bullshit degree in designer and decorative and stuff, with colors and this and that, because I said, all it's going to do is make you look better. And I did all this, like I do for every fucking body else, man. I took all the screenshots. I went to ask Google a couple of questions about wood flooring, and then they give you this whole this whole list. So she's got like 30 or 40 questions that people are on Google always asking. I said, yes. Now you got to throw 2 to 5 minutes, 7 minutes at the most, answer those questions. Video blog. We're going to turn that into a blog for the website and then an article for the Google My Business. All of it is just, they're asking these questions. You need to be the one answering it because they're reading questions. Google's putting the answers in front of them. It ain't the answer I would write or she would do or you would do or something, but they're reading it. And for whatever reason, homeowners read that answer on Google and they think it's the correct answer. I talk about it all the time. It's like, you got to be smarter than Google because Google ain't smart. Google's just putting out there what other people have, put on the internet. So you need to be the one putting those answers on the internet. So it's fun. I mean, it's like, I've done it for so many other guys now. It's fun doing it for her. Because she sees the money that we made in the life that I've lived. And she's like, shit, ain't nothing wrong with that, Daddy. I want to do that. I said, yeah, but you got to get there.
It's funny because, you mentioned got to be smarter than Google. And it's like, I get a lot of lead form submissions off my website for people who want barn dominiums. And it's like, I want a barn dominium. I got a $20,000 budget. It's like, Google says that barn dominiums are cheaper. Yeah. I mean, but they're really not.
It's funny you said that because I just sent this barn dominium contractor that I work with a long list of answers, questions that he should be answering.
Yeah.
But that's what so I don't know, but that's one of the questions. I mean, that should be it. That's one of the answers. All of that stuff. But hey, man, let's get in. So we're going to talk about. And you sent me the list. I said, "Hey, man, what are we talking about next week? What are we going to do?" And like you said, I don't know. You rattled off a whole bunch of stuff, but one, you started with systems. Go into that a little bit for these guys.
Yeah. So, I mean,
for me, systems is everything.
Well, it's for everything. Systems is everything. And, and I'll segue into that just by giving JB his explanation of my tardiness. So, I mean, ultimately right now, the reason why I was late was because I had to sit in on a project that we're developing for a rather large custom home up north in the mountains. Right. So right now I've got 2 custom homes that, we just signed on one yesterday up in, up north in the mountains of Idaho, and another one in Cascade. I got another, pretty sizable renovation in McCall. And so this is all 2.5 hours north of here. And, I was not able to find somebody to just go up there, anybody that I really felt like I could trust or I felt was competent enough to go up there and oversee these jobs. A lot of this stuff normally we can manage remotely, but up in that McCall market, I just see it is too much of a golden goose, like a great opportunity. And so what I've decided is I'm going to go up there. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to get an apartment, and I've got an ad campaign up there. While we're going to be doing custom homes as well, like one thing I don't see it going on up there is we're niching in this ad campaign for just kitchen and bath remodels, right? And
I know the
so
area.
Go up
so they can Google it. I mean, it's it's a beautiful area. We stayed up there in the RV for a couple of days and wish we had stayed a week. But so you're running the ads for just kitchen and bath remodel because you do ground up.
Right. And so that kind of leads into the other thing we were talking about is marketing. But the reason why I'm able to do that though, because I've got this company here in Boise that's running, right?
Yeah.
And I've got a team of experts. I've got a team of professionals, and they're talented, they're skilled, they know what the hell they're doing. But more importantly, I've set in place this system. This is how we operate every job, every time. I mean, there's minor variances, but for the most part, this is how we take every job through from start to completion. And so I've got people in place who can operate these systems to where I can go and I can leave the business to them, and I can go up north and I can do this and I can duplicate these systems and I can start another location there.
Yes, 100%.
And I would not be able to do that without systems. And that, you and I worked on that for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, how are you going to make that happen? Well, I got to sit down. I got to write it out. Here's this idea I have. Right.
And I don't know why that's so hard for guys, right? It's like, what? I don't know, man. I don't get it.
Well, it's because they're always just focused on, well, I got, where's the next check coming from? Where's the next check coming from? Right.
And it's in my head. I don't need to write it down. I'm like, dude, you need to write it down. It's got to be written. Yeah. And my whole thing is like, what do you mean systems? I was like, look, man, I said, if you do something, if you're on the 3rd time of doing something, it should already be written down because it's a system. You need a system for it. If you've done it more than twice, you're doing it for the 3rd time. That shit should be written down because if you've done it 3 times, you're going to do it 4, 5, and 6, and then even more and more. But it needs to be written down, and it needs to be written down to a freaking 6-year-old. Denzel Washington said in the movie Philadelphia. Explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. Write it down, and even Einstein said it. He said, "Look, man, as smart as he is, as smart as anyone is." If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't know it yourself.
Well, you have to be able to explain it to anybody else for them to understand it. And people, like we were saying earlier, people only hear what they're prepared to understand.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to say, whatever it is you're going to convey to people, you have to explain it simply. And if you yourself don't understand it well enough, if you can't explain it simply, right? And so ultimately what that led into was that led into my employee handbook. Which led into my systems of operation and our standard operating procedures of how we do business, which led into my contracts, which led into basically everything we do as a company in a consistent manner. And I think that's one of the key things that a lot of business owners miss is, it's like, we swing the hammer, we bend the nails, we cut the wood, we collect the check. The client loves us. We do quality work. Like, woohoo, we do quality work. Yeah, I mean, everybody does quality work.
At least
Great. You're operating at a bare minimum. Now what?
At least they say they do. I think too. Like, I think a lot of guys don't want to sit down. Whether and again, I'm a pen and pad dude, and then I'll transfer it over to the computer. Yep. But because man, because you've done it so many times, you do know it. But when you sit down to write out what you're doing, you realize you don't know it as well as you think you knew it.
Well, I could sit here and I understand Bitcoin on a level that you don't understand it. And I can sit here and rattle off a bunch of technical jargon to you, but you're going to just look at me, you're going to glaze over, and you're like, yeah, whatever, dude. You know what I'm saying? But if I were to sit here and say, hey man, Bitcoin is this or that and the other, because, and it's this simple, you're like, oh shit. Okay. No, I get that. Yeah. That's why I'm going to buy Bitcoin with my next $100 instead of Dogecoin. Right.
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of being able to explain it to somebody because you can see it.
Yeah.
Like even in what I do, design and build, that client has a vision in their head that only they can see. And they're like, well, why can't you give me a price right now?
Yeah.
Because I don't even know what the hell it is you want. I mean, I got an idea, but communication is everything.
It is.
And if you can communicate what it is you see to other people, what your ability to be, your efficiency, your ability to complete tasks with other people, your ability to work with other people is only going to increase through you writing it down and being able to explain it to somebody else. And not only that, but when it's written down, you don't have to repeat yourself as much.
Yeah, as much.
You say, here, read this.
As much. Because I tell guys all the time, man, you can write it down. And man, I hope JB is still on here. JB responded to this, but man, you can write it down. A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, do these steps at this time in this way. And you can hand it to the guy and they're still going to screw it up. They just screw it up less until they've done it, a couple of times. And that was something that I had to get through my thick head. I'm like, what? It was like, I mean, we just learn by screwing shit up, I guess. It just, when you have the systems and it's written down, 1, 2, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, it just helps them screw it up less. And you get to go back and say, man, it was right here. Didn't you say, yeah, well, I didn't, I missed that or something. It just helps them screw it up less. But your systems, are they fluent? Like, there's some things that we have to do this way over and over and over, but then because every fucking job site is different. So it's not going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, these are the guidelines, but here's the outcome that we're trying to achieve. And that's, I wrote my note is like, because you're saying like the homeowner comes to you with a vision because they know what they want, but they kind of know what they want. They've had that picture in their head, but when you start talking to them and going over this and that, they really don't even know what they want. You have to kind of paint the picture together.
Yeah. And you have to keep the options to a minimum. You have to try and at least gauge what it is they're seeing and then say, okay, pick 1 or 2. Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ultimately what you're kind of getting at is like, what are they fluent? Like my rebuttal to that is maybe they're not fluent, might not be the right word, but they're consistent. Like, for example, like you do wood floors, right? You specialize in wood floors. That's all you do day in and day out. Yeah. You don't build homes. You don't frame them. That's what framers do. Framers, that's all they do. They specialize in framing. Framers don't do electrical because electricians specialize in electricity, right? Well, as a general contractor, that was something I really struggled with. I was like, what the hell do I specialize in? Am I just a fucking glorified handyman? No, right? Well, I specialize in contracts. I specialize in planning the job and managing the job. How do I do that? I become a master of time. How do I become a master of time? I master the art of keeping people accountable by writing shit down in a contract and having them sign it.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's ultimately, I mean, the meat and potatoes of my fluidity or my consistency is I specialize in the planning and the management of jobs, right?
Yeah.
And I have systems that are built around the ability to do that efficiently.
Yeah.
So
I like anybody watching is man, start writing it all down. Like from like you guys like, man, well, like, everything is like we get here, man, we go in, we start doing this. I was like, yeah, but like, okay, you get there, like, where do you park? Where do the guys park? Do you pull into the driveway? I don't like guys pulling into the driveway. My car don't leak no oil. I say, yeah, nobody's does. But if there's oil on the fucking driveway, you're getting blamed for it. So unless you have to, and like make it this, I mean, every fucking thing. But and you don't get up there, you don't get there at what 10, 15, 20 minutes ahead of time. Did you even like if you're the business owner, what's your system? What's your scheduling for the homeowner? Like, did you call them the night before? Did you email them the night before? Text them the night before? Was it 3 days before, letting them know when you guys will be there, who's going to be there? Did you send them the link to the video of the guy that's running the, like, so they know who's showing up that's going to be doing that part of the job, and like all of that stuff? And then like where the, like have this at, put the dogs away, the cats away, all of this, make this give there's a system for giving the homework to the homeowner, like of stuff like needs to be all of that. I mean, it's all led up to like everything. I'm telling you, man, if you do it more than twice, the shit should be written down, because you're going to do it a third time. And like, and it's like all of that. It's like, you just don't show up. It's like, what did you do before you showed up? Everything, man. It's all written down. It's like, it's over and over and over again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's one of those things where if it isn't written, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And that leads into, your systems. The core of my systems are ultimately my contracts. And I tell my guys all the time, they come with questions and I'm like, well, did you read the contract?
Yeah.
What's in the contract? Right. So I don't know what's in the contract. I mean, even if I wrote the contract, it's, we're 6 weeks into, an 8-week project. And I'm like, well, shit, let's go look at the contract, because I don't remember.
Yeah. You're so, I mean, it's like the last time you looked at it could have been months ago. And you've already looked at 100 other freaking contracts that you're working on for the next few projects. But talk about that, because you're pretty like, man, like our contracts are like minute compared to yours, and they should be, because I mean, like the scope of things that you're doing, whether it's a new build or a kitchen remodel, and just what goes into just remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom or a room add-on or all of that stuff. So, and I've known you've shared contracts with a lot of contractors. Like, man, you ain't trying to hoard it. Like, no, this is mine. I created. Like, I've seen you just give that shit away. What goes into your contracts? What's the main things? What should people be thinking about doing? Go into that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, the reason why I do that is my contracts aren't even my contracts. They were given to me by another contractor who I consider to be a very trusted and valuable mentor of mine as well. And like, he basically does the same thing I do. And I just took his contracts. I was like, because I noticed, I was like, hey man, like, what are you doing there? Like how you doing that? And he was like, oh, well, here's how I do that. I was like, you mind if I look at your contract? And he just sent me all his contracts. And so he did that for me. And I know what it did. I know what it did for me. And I know like sometimes I look at other, general contractors or contractors who specialize in more than one trade. I'm like, man, I wish you would just do it like this. Because if you did it like this, we'd all, the industry would benefit as a whole. But I mean, I think the key thing to realize that any contractor, whether you're a homeowner or a contractor yourself, I mean, it really should be specific. Like even though your contract is shorter than mine, you're dealing with one trade. I'm dealing with 19 to 23.
Yeah.
Okay. But your contract is actually explicit. You're not going in there going, well, we'll sand it and then we'll stain it and it's just give me a check. Right. Yeah. Well, you're going to say, well, we're going to sand it to this degree.
Yeah.
We're going to do this, and this, but we're going to use this type of stain. You're going to have, or no stain, or you're going to have X amount of coats of poly, right? It's going to list probably the species of wood that's there. You're going to have some exclusions about what happens if you run across damaged boards, stuff like that. Right? Yeah.
Boards that have to be changed because of termites or pet urine and all of that stuff. And it's like the contract is just a written, for me, it's a written form of education that I've already, because I'm everything's written, but I'm verbally going over it with them anyway. And then, and not only that, but like you just said, is I don't want to just, and a lot of these guys do it, like sand stain finish, this much money. I'm like, dude, you got 4 words on that, and 4 words is not going to be worth $16,000. My 4 words are going to be like 2 pages, and it's everything that you're going to do. I'm just fucking writing it down, so they're going to go, oh my god, yeah.
What that's going to be is at the end of the job, it's going to be a dispute between you and the client, because the client said client thinks you said, well, you do everything
Yeah.
and shine my shoes for 16,000.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, that's not what we agreed on. Well, that's what the contract says. Well, no,
Yeah.
the contract doesn't say anything. The contract's retarded. Right. and ultimately I think that's the thing. I think that if you spent more time just focusing on managing expectations, not only for the client, but for yourself and for the people who are working for you, that's when things go smoothly, and managing expectations, thinking 5 moves ahead. Like what if I don't mention this, or what could happen if this comes up, right? Like I got to exclude this, or I got to include that, right? Timelines should be in your contract. Payment schedules, if the job is more than, I'd say if the job is more than a week, you need to have a draw payment in there somewhere, and when it happens, the schedule needs to be.
And that's a big one too, because if that's not in there, and you're like, I don't know, halfway through the job or a quarter of the way through the job, and now you need more money for materials or payroll or something, and you just show up out of the blue telling the homeowner you need money, they look at you a little weird. And I almost don't blame them. I was like, what the fuck you mean? He's like, I don't mind giving you money, but I would have liked to have known that in advance. Did you gamble it away? Did you buy Bitcoin? What the hell? Why do you need this money right now? Why didn't you tell me in the beginning? Because if you tell them that in the beginning, it makes sense to them. But when you just show up out of the blue going, hey, and I don't know, man, some of these contractors think, well, they shouldn't, homeowners should know. Like, how? Unless you fucking told them. Like, it's crazy what we contractors or we think that homeowners should know. It's that's kind of like in the relationships. Like, hey, damn, honey, you should have known. Like, how I'm gonna know? Like, the more you can educate them, the better. And in your contract, the guys that are working for you, whether they're reading the contractors or not, they know all of these steps that you're telling the homeowner you're going to do, and this is that, and like, so they know. It's like, man, I can't, like, the homeowner's watching or not watching. It's like, and now cameras are everywhere. I don't give a shit, because I'm it's like, good, like, make the guys work that much better, that much faster, and timely, and all that other stuff. But then the guys that are working for you, they shouldn't be cutting corners and all that other crap anyway. But they know that everybody knows. It's like, oh, that homeowner didn't know what we're going to be doing. It's like, but I can do it with 2 papers instead of the 6, but that Brian thinks that we should do it with. It's like, no, the homeowner knows you're going to be doing it with 6 papers. So all of that stuff, everybody's on the same freaking page. Everybody fucking knows, and that's why you end up with less problems, not no problems, just less problems.
Well, and it's I'm a big proponent of, if we really want to boil it down to a synopsis, man, a contract should be more than just a random string of emails, right?
Yeah.
And 99% of the problems that occur on a job site can be solved before they even happen by just having managed expectations. And that's really when it comes down to, when I say becoming a master of time, like as a business owner, I've switched my mindset into, money's important. It's right up there with oxygen, of course, but every dollar that's coming in my door, I'm trying to figure out, how do I buy more time with that money? Right. Yeah. And so the way to do that is through contracts and managing expectations. When you manage expectations, you manage people. And when you become a master of time and managing people, the money is just a byproduct.
Yeah.
Right. And so what I see normally is there is no contract. It's just a string of emails, like a conversation we had, or text messages, or it's, a really vague contract at best. What's even worse is having a contract that is good, but then it's just never enforced. Like, we had a draw payment at, the start of that, but I was scared to ask for the money. So now we're, it's like, Jesus Christ, man.
And that's why it's good to have someone that works for you that asks for the money and does all that shit. Yeah. You don't have to be the one. Like, doctors don't ask for money. It's always, someone in the lobby or someone at the desk, or, anything. Like, when I run martial arts studios, I don't ask for the money. My relationship is with the students and the parents. I don't want money to get involved with it because it dampers our relationship. The parents walk out, I'm going straight over to the office to the lady that works for me, and I'm saying, hey, man, they leave the check? No, what the fuck do you mean they didn't leave a check? Well, did you mention? No, it ain't my job to mention it. The reason you were sitting here right now with a job is because you're answering phones, you're setting up schedules, you're doing this, you're doing your private lessons, and you're collecting money. I don't want money to ever be brought up between me and the student or the parent of the student. Give me that damn money.
Well, not only that, but it's interesting how, when homeowners are working with your company and you
Hmm.
have a team, like I
Yeah.
can't tell you, like 90% of the time, like even as the owner of the company, like they know I'm the owner, right? And my team is out there working and, they love my team. You know, I'll leave or they'll be really nasty to me. Sometimes they hate me. I've had clients tell me that they hate me, but then they turn around and they start handing out $100 bills to my team. And it's just like, it's like you as the owner really shouldn't be asking for the money. You should have somebody in place doing that for you.
Well,
I
what
had,
about this? Go ahead. Keep going.
no, I was gonna say I had a lawyer working for me last year as a project manager, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, she'd have the right mindset. She's involved in, processes and she thinks, right?
Yeah.
Well, it ended up things came to a head and she like gave me her 2 weeks notice. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't need a 2 weeks notice. And she's like, well, you expanded my scope of work. And I already told you I was not comfortable asking for money. And I was like, well, you're a project manager. That's your job. She's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. I was like, well, I said, so if a client, wants an extra scope of work or you're having a dispute with the client or the subcontractor, is it your job as a project manager to deal with that? She said, well, yeah. I was like, so if it's in the contract, I said, your job is to enforce the contract, right? She goes, yeah. I said, well, if it's in the contract that a payment is due, are you just not going to force that part of the contract? Right. She's like, oh, well, I was like, ultimately as a project manager, you're in charge of three things. You're in charge of time, people, and money.
Yeah.
And that's it. So,
Yeah. It kills me. What about this, man? It's like, I don't know, maybe we differ on this, but because guys are always in these different Facebook groups going, man, how do I get paid and this and that? And like, they want to take me to court or I'm going to take them to court and stuff. And I'm like, man, it's like, you've already lost. It's like, I don't know.
yeah.
It's like, it's everything that we just said, the expectations, the time, educating them, all of that should be brought up before it even gets to that point. Because man, once they start talking about, you're going to have to take me to court to get paid. You can go to court and get paid. Maybe, I don't know. It's just, but for me, you've already lost.
Absolutely.
But you're working on big dollars. You can't walk away. That type of deal, where they're a painter or a contract or flooring guy or something, could be $1,500. Could be $5,000 or something. Like it's going to cost them more money than that just to even go to court, and hopefully they're going to win. And and the judge is always looking at the contractor as in, how come you didn't educate the homeowner better? How come you didn't educate the homeowner? I mean, every judge I've ever seen or talked to or seen guys who went through it, it's always the same. How come you didn't educate the homeowner better?
Well, I mean, ultimately, if you're getting to that point and you have to like go to court with somebody, whether whose fault it is, I mean, ultimately, there's a threshold there, and I would say it's probably right about $50,000, unless the dispute is 50,000 or more. Most litigation takes 1 to 2 years, and by the time you've spent 1 to 2 years and you've spent all this money on a lawyer, $50,000 is right at the break-even point. Right.
Yeah.
So if you're going to sue somebody for $50,000, you're going to spend the next 1 to 2 years of your life breaking even.
Yeah.
Right? And you're actually going to lose because you're going to miss out on the time you could have spent making more money.
Oh man. And the stress that it does to your fucking health ain't worth any of the amount. I mean, it's just like, I've been there. I'm telling you, right? I'm everything I teach, I've been through it. Like I'm telling you, the sleepless nights, the waking up when your stomach with the acid burning, and I've got to call her back. I've got to deal with this and talk about that. It's like, it's just, oh my God, it kills you. I hate it.
Yeah.
I've been there way too many times. I'm telling you, when I say, man, do all this shit so you don't have to get there, trust me.
Well, the thing about my contracts too, it's like, cause and I know some of these smaller, specialty contractors probably don't, it's a deposit down and the rest on completion, because you're doing it within 1 to 2 to maybe 5 days, right?
Yeah.
But for me, it's like
Months.
I'm building these homes.
Years.
I'm doing multiple scopes of work. So my draw payments, the language that I advise is that at the start of, like, that's a key phrase right there. Like, you will owe us at the start of.
Yeah.
Right. Not at the finish of or upon completion. You will owe us at the start of framing this much money, because at that point the client can't turn around and say, well, you're not finished with that.
Yeah.
Right? And like, yeah, you're right, but until I get this money, I can't complete that. And I have to complete that before I can get here. And before I can get there, I got to have this money.
Yeah.
And you just alleviate those arguments and those frustrations and those disputes before they even happen. And it's just like, what's his name? David Patrick. What's his name?
Yeah. Patrick David. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are your next 5 moves?
Yeah.
I mean, it's chess. Business is war. It's a chess game.
Yeah.
And you're playing chess with your clients. You're playing chess with your contractors, your subcontractors, your employees, the permitting place, whatever. You're playing chess. And if you're only playing chess 1 to 2 moves ahead, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Especially, and if you're playing chess at that level, you're playing for material.
Yeah.
When you're playing chess, you need to play for position. And that's, when you start thinking 4 and 5 moves ahead, like what happens if, well, shit, that would happen. Well, if that happened, what happened if, right? And if you can think at least 5 moves ahead on that, and you can get that incorporated into your contracts, if you then become the problem solver, right?
Yeah.
You're solving problems before they can even happen. And it's not a matter of you trying to make sure that you don't get screwed over. It's a matter of you become a good steward of everybody's time and involvement on the project.
Yeah.
Because it's your job. You're the one running it. You're the guy in charge.
This dude, Anthony, showed up, said, sorry, I'm late. Dude, if we're 2 hours late, you must be 3 to 4 hours late. I mean, what the hell?
Shit.
But Anthony, I don't know. I think Anthony made like $400 an hour in a day doing just a small little clean and buff type of thing. And most guys are like, oh my God, I can't get $400 an hour. That's crazy. But in the big scheme, because construction is a little bit different, because in the scheme of the world of making and earning a living, earning money and all of that stuff, is like someone goes down to the car lot, they wheeling and dealing, the car's already there. We're always exchanging money for something. But we're providing whatever it is, like you're building a room or a kitchen remodel or a house or something. It's like, I don't think it's a real small, minute population of homeowners that really want to rip off a contractor. I don't think there's some, like Jim Rome would say, man, there's only like 1 or 2 of those in the world. They show up a lot in different areas, but there's only 1 or 2. I mean, there's not a whole lot of them. And it's like, there are some people who want to rip off contractors or just want to rip off people, period. I just think the number is really small. So in the big scheme of things, is like, yeah, homeowner wants a house built or a room remodeled or a floor or the thing painted. And it's us, it's like you said, they have that vision of what they want. They really don't know what they want. Like Anthony, I tell you, is they'll call him up all the time. And I'm like, dude, they don't know what they want. They don't know what they need. It's like, it's up for you to either look at their floor or have them send pictures or something. And then you're educating them on all of their options. Here's all your options. Here's everything that you could do. What is it that you want? And then they give us money because they want that done. And whether you personally do it or you give some of that money to someone else to do it, the homeowner doesn't care. They just want it fucking done. It's like, They just want to be happy at the end of the day. And we make it a lot harder than it has to be because we're the fucking problem. You said it earlier at the beginning of this podcast, is all this shit's happening and you're standing in front of the mirror going, why is all this? It's like, and you told yourself, look, man, it's happening because of you. You're the problem. And you for whatever reason, were at the right part of time of your life to where you realized that and took action and made you better for whatever reason. But and you've dealt with some lawsuits and some weird ass fucking clients. And I know I have, because I've been doing this for 40 years. Man, there's some weirdos out there. But
no lawsuits yet, but definitely letters sent.
It's like, don't make me call you bluff, man. It's like, but let's get past that. Let's jump on to do you own a business or do you own a job? Because you put this in there because this is my pet peeve, but you brought it up, so I'm gonna say, man, if Anthony wants to talk about it, let's talk about it. Because I think contractors are sick of me talking about it, but you brought it up, so I'm gonna let you talk about it, and I'll jump in.
Yeah, man, that's a common thing that I see a lot of people struggling with, man. And it's like all these other things we're talking about are kind of the mechanics of owning your business as opposed to owning your job, like contracts or marketing or whatever, like and you've heard it before, it's like, I've even kind of talked a little trash on it. It's like working on your business instead of in it. But what does that really mean? Right.
Yeah. That's a great
And I think that, yeah, but it's really common, even, especially in the trades, right? It's like a lot of these guys are really great tradesmen, man. And they're really great with doing hardwood floors or doing stained grade miters that are airtight. But when it comes down to the business side of shit, they just suck, right? And they're horrible business people. And, and that's what gets a lot of them into trouble, is they don't understand how to run a business. They don't understand, the mathematics of a business, and they don't understand how to implement systems that other people can follow. And, and that's the thing. It's like, well, it's so hard to find good help. Everybody sucks. It's like, no, dude, you just don't have, nobody wants to work for you.
No,
right? Because
why would
suck.
they? Yeah,
man, I got some of the most incredibly talented people working for me, and they're all fucking millennials. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're all younger, and they're all fucking badass.
Yeah. Well, my daughter's 21. She'll be 22 in October. She's got two young guys. One's 20, not even 21. One's 20, one's 22. And man, they have not been late yet. They haven't been late yet, man. They show up ready to kick ass and learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's a matter of just, defining what your business really is. Like, why did you get into business? Right. Yeah. If you, going back, sit down and write a goddamn contract with yourself. I mean, if you can't write, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, why did I get into business? Like, what am I doing this for?
Yep.
Am I doing it for money? Am I doing it for glory? Am I doing it for legacy? Or am I just trying to be, better today than I was yesterday? Yeah. I don't know what it is for you. We all have our own reasons for getting into business. But I mean, until you really define that, there's a lot of guys out there who just, they just want to make money on their own terms. And, they don't care if, they become the next, business mogul. They don't care if they're dominating the Northwest in their construction business. And that's fine, man. It's like, and you've heard me say, there's no shame in that game.
Yeah.
But man, if you're going to take that route, then you do not have the right to bitch and complain about, why you're not where you want to be with your business.
Yeah. Because it ain't a business.
No, it's a job.
Yeah. You're just trying to look for work. You're hoping someone gives you a referral so you can answer the phone and that person says, yes, I'll hire you. They're hiring you. They're giving you a job instead of working for Brian Adams, and Brian Adams is writing you a check at the end of the week. A homeowner is writing you a check at the end of the week, and you're hoping there's a little bit of money left after you've paid your supplies, and maybe you had a helper that showed up a couple of days that you used him during the hard parts of the job and then didn't have any work for him when it was a little easier on you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you can do really well just working for yourself with a helper here and there. And I'm not saying you can't.
Yeah.
I said, but ultimately the percentage of guys out there who are really doing that and doing well also understand the business side of things, right? Beyond just their trade. And, it's like, you can wear all those hats and you can do really well. And you could do $300,000 a year in profit just working by yourself with a helper here and there.
Especially as a contractor, because some of these contractors really do all of it, hands on. They'll do the freaking foundation, and they'll be there when the concrete is getting poured, and they'll be there during they love the framing. That's their thing. They may get a drywall guy to help them and all, but yeah, go ahead.
Here's the question. Like, even if you're that guy, right?
Yeah.
And you're kicking ass, you have a helper that comes in and helps you every once in a while, right? Let's say you're making $300,000 a year. You've got a Corvette in your garage, and you got some toys, and you're kicking ass. Here's the scary question to ask yourself. What happens if you get injured and you're out of commission for a month or two? What happens to your business? Right?
Yeah.
Can you keep going? Does your business work without you? And I mean, you might be able to float that time. You might be able to just kick it on the couch for 2 months. I mean, and maybe you're happy with that. I mean, that's good for you. Me personally, I wouldn't be happy with that.
No.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, the minute you started your company, in my view, my philosophy, the minute I started a company, I stopped being a carpenter.
Yeah. Should be.
My job at that point was now to get other people a job. I created a platform of opportunity for everyone else around me. And if I started and I create that platform and I take up all the space on that platform, well, that's selfish as hell. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm micromanaging all these talented people, or even not talented people. It doesn't matter. Even if they're talented, if I'm micromanaging them to that degree where I can't just turn them loose and let them mess up, let them make mistakes, let them learn from it. Right.
Yeah.
If I can't do that, well, then of course, why would anybody want to work for me?
Yeah. You know? Well, my daughter said that she wanted to do the flooring thing, and because she had told the wife first, like, like, what are you going to do, this and that, all this other stuff. She's like, man, Dad makes a lot of money. He never works. And even the wife chuckled, going, yeah, you don't know what your dad went through to get to that part. And she said she wanted it and all this other stuff. And and I mean, you're a phenomenal contractor, Anthony, but I'm telling you, I see more female contractors do pretty damn good in construction, better than most of the guys. And I don't know if it's because they're more level-headed or they can explain the contracts better or something, but women seem to do better in construction than men for whatever reason. So I knew that part was like, oh, I went through all of it. But I told her, I said, the biggest thing, if you want to say you want to own a business, I said, you're not supporting yourself. That's easy. I mean, I've set it up with real estate and other investments that, hopefully you shouldn't have to worry about money, that part of it. I said, the thing with running your own business is now you are responsible for a lot of other families, the 6 to 12 guys that are working for you who have a wife and a couple of kids. And, then you can see her, it's like the wheels turning in her head going, oh my God, because they don't think like that. Business owners, if you're a trade guy and you're just, I'm going to get a business, man. It's like, no, man, like you just said, it's like, I'm creating jobs for other people. I'm a pillar in the community. I'm trying to help these guys better themselves. There's a couple of books that we give as soon as they start working, like these two young guys that are working. I've taken them both to lunch at different times. I'll say, man, here's the future, man. You can do this, this, and this, and that. You can have your own business, or you can continue working for my daughter, and you can do all the work that you can do, but then you can oversee a couple of more guys and get a little bit of percentage of that. You can have your own little business inside of a business. The sky is the limit. You can have we'll open up a whole different location. It'll be like a little franchise. If you want to move down to San Diego, that area, or McCall, Idaho, and you have that little location, and we'll help you run that, and we'll get a percentage. So I show them the bigger vision, and it's always about saving money. Like immediately give them the book, the Richest Man in Babylon, and I give them As a Man Thinketh, so to change your mindset. Yeah. So I told her, I said, hey, it's like, it's not, you're not just taking care of you, you're taking care of a lot of freaking people, and those people are taking care of people probably. But it's a whole different mindset.
Well, that's really key thing right there, man, that you touch on is the mindset of it all. I mean, it's like a lot of guys like, well, I'll pay $30 an hour. Nobody shows up. It was like, well, we've entered into a whole new marketplace, man.
Yeah.
And money isn't everything for these people. I mean, we live in an age of information where every piece of information travels at the speed of light, literally. And people understand that there's more to life than just money. You can't just throw money at some problems. You can't just purchase somebody's soul. Like there has to be a vision there. They have to be able to see it. They don't have to believe in it, and they have to want to be a part of it. So therefore it has to be substantial. It has to be, something worthy. It's something, an endeavor worthy of undertaking. Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not providing that, I mean, obviously that's all sales really is. Sales is this transference of this emotion called certainty. And if you're not certain in what you sell and you don't believe in it, then why the hell should anybody else? Yeah.
Most employees will come and stay because they see a future for the company. And then they want to be a part of that because, man, but someone's showing up to work and like you said, they're the helper for this guy. And that guy's like got 3 days a week. He's got a little bit of work here or there, a couple of times. Like nobody's going to stay around and stick around for that shit. It's like, because there's no certainty there. It's like, man, I don't know. Can I go buy a new truck? I mean, how am I going to be making the payments? Is he going to keep me busy full time? Is he going to be able to pay me? And it's like later on, will I be able to try to buy a house? Can I get married? Is there what's the certainty there? And that's the first thing, even in the interviewing process and stuff. That's what we try to talk about is like, hey man, like, I don't know if this is going to work out for you. We don't keep most people that come on board. We have a real like, we're going to go through this, but then first couple of weeks, we're going to know if you're going to make it or not. And you'll probably be gone. But if you do make it, here's what you can expect. And they want to make it. Well, what I got to do to make it? What I got to do to make it? And that's in that handout, and that's in the booklet. But they don't know. And just like the homeowners, the employees don't know. They don't know what you expect out of them or what's the next step and what's all of that stuff. If you don't explain it to them and teach them, they don't know. And you expect them to know it, you're just setting yourself up for failure, and to where you may have some really good guys working for you, but because you didn't explain everything to them, they look like dumbasses to you. I'm like, no, dude, you're the fucking dumbass. Did you teach them? Did you tell them? Did you explain it? Well, no, they should have known. I knew. I'm like, bullshit.
Right.
It kills me, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. It's like everything is sales, man. Whether you're not just making a sale to your client, right? You have to make that sale to your employees too. Like you're selling this vision of this is what we sell. This is what we do. This is the product or service we offer. And, here's the vision of where we're heading. You want to come or are you good where you're at? Right.
Yeah.
And if nobody wants to come along with you, you have to really assess that. Like, well, do I really want to go there? Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, everything is a sale.
Yeah.
You're not just closing sales with your clients. You're selling your employees. Even when you're trying to get your toddler to eat broccoli over the ice cream, it's like you have to negotiate with them.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to do that. And
you're leading by example. If you're eating broccoli and you're making this ugly face and it's the kid sees that, like, oh shit. But I mean, if you're eating broccoli and it looks like you're enjoying it and it's ice cream, you're like, oh shit. They're like, the kid's like, man, something must be wrong with me. It didn't it looks like he's enjoying it. But you're leading by example no matter what it is.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this shit sucks, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. So I don't know. Well, because that whole thing about, I've said it once, I said it a million fucking times. It's like, if you have to be there, it's not a business, it's a job. And the guy's like, man, I like being there. I like doing the work, man. No one cuts like me. I'm like, dude, I said, listen again. Right. If you have to be there, it's not a business, it's a job. If you want to be there and someone else is doing all the other stuff that we're talking about, God bless you, man. Do what you love doing. And like you said, no shame in that game. But if you have to be there, it's a job, bitch. And you can call it whatever the fuck you want to make yourself sleep better at night, but you got a job. You're working for yourself, and working for you sucks. No future in it. And I tell guys all the time, it's like, I'm not an insurance dude. I ain't car insurance, health insurance. I'm not an insurance guy. I love Patrick Bet-David, PBD, shout out. But I'm not an insurance dude. You want to buy life insurance for your family? $1 million policy, $2 million policy, good for you. That money, man, you die. Trust me, they go through that money very quick. $1 million does not go anywhere. $2 million does not go anywhere. The best life insurance, if you're a business owner, the best life insurance policy you can give your family is that business manual. So that when you crash and die or something happens, their life will not change financially, because the wife or the daughter or the son can go in there and pick up your business manual and go, oh, this is how we get the phone to ring. This is how we answer the phone. This is how we interview guys. This is the training manual for new guys. This is that. Everything is boom systems, step by step by step by step. That is, I still have yours. Like when we started on it 2-3 years ago, and I was printing shit out, putting it in a little manual, going like, hey,
we're just going through it today.
I said, but that, man, there's like nothing changes. Trust me. And then they can grow the business bigger if they wanted to, or sell it. But it's that's what you're selling. You're selling those systems. You're selling this proven thing that works. Nobody wants to buy a job. Who the hell wants to spend a couple $100,000, $1 million on a job? No, not nobody. But let's transfer that into you said, I said, hey man, what are we gonna talk about? And you said, I want to talk about motherfucking contractors that don't want to spend money on marketing, and then they want to cry about not having work. What do you mean? Yeah. Let's go there.
Yeah, man. It's like a gardener, man. You go out there and you plant a seed, and then you race out there every night to dig it up to see if it's growing, right? And it's just not the way it works. And so ultimately, and right now is the perfect time to really talk about this, because right now everything's great. The sun's shining. It's time to make hay. Nobody's got there's no lack of work right now, right? We're heading into that season. But the thing about it is right now is when everybody's going to take their pedal off the metal when it comes to the marketing, right? And so right now, when you have all this money, right, and you have all these jobs, that's when you gotta really ramp up the marketing. And because if you don't, you're gonna come to the the winter months and the winter holidays, and you'll be stressing because you don't have money. Like I don't have any work. How am I going to buy Christmas presents? Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. I really think it's important, like, because right now it's like right now is the time to really think about the marketing that you're going to need and wish you had come this Christmas, like right now.
Come December and January, February.
Right. Thinking ahead 5 moves, right?
Yeah.
Because if you start thinking about it in November going, shit, I don't have any work coming up. Like, what am I going to do for the next 2 months? Right. Well, if you'd been advertising since today, you're going to have work while everyone else, you're going to see them. They're going to start crying right around November. Like, oh, we don't have any work. Hey, Brian, will you run my Google ads for me? Even my website sucks ass, but will you run my Google ads to get me work?
Today's Monday. I need to work tomorrow. Can you run some ads? Yeah, man. I've got a formula written down in, like, I don't know. I think I got videos on YouTube, but it's like every job that you do, a portion of that money goes right back to marketing. And it depends on where you're at in your business, how much of that. In the beginning, like friggin' 30-40% of that goes back into marketing. But the least it ever goes down is 10%. For me, it's always 10 to 15%. So if you're getting a check for $1,000 from a business, from a job that you just did, 150 of that goes right to the marketing budget. Yep. And you just keep stacking it. Like right now during these months, these summer months, and you're busy and you're watching the numbers, you're running more ads or less ads, or you're keeping yourself busy. Like one guy last week, we were saying he's booked up till fucking, I don't know, March, April, like, I don't know, what was, like, he's booked up till like December or something. I don't know. I'm like, dude, hire people, get the shit done so that you're not even booked up next week. Get all that money, bring it all in and do it again. So you may have a huge budget of freaking, stockpile, 60 grand sitting there just for ads everywhere, not just Google. I mean, that's the bulk of mine, but everywhere. But you got 60 grand right there in that marketing budget, and you're always adding to it because every job you do, a portion of that goes back to your marketing budget. So you may only be running right now 10 grand or 15 grand, but all of that, because when it comes September, October, November, man, you're going to just flood it because people are still doing work in December and January and February. You just got to make sure you're the one that they're calling. And it doesn't change. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. And you're saying advertising, but like we talked earlier at the very beginning of the podcast, is when you go to Google and you type in 1 or 2 questions about whatever trade you're doing, Google will give you a list of other questions contract or homeowners are asking, and you click that, and they'll add 2 or 3 more to that list. So you should be answering all of those questions that people are asking Google, and that's a whole nother form of advertising. You're going to be paying with your time. You're going to be paying me or you or someone with the videos, the YouTube, the tags, uploading it to your Google business. I mean, it's never effing ending.
Always.
Go ahead.
Always ongoing. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing about that too, Brian, is like, if you think about it like this, for example, like, you can start running ads now, and it's going to get you jobs. Like if you're running ads now, it's going to get you jobs next week, of course. But the thing about it is, I mean, if you think about it like this, seriously, Coca-Cola, for example, like 9 out of 10 people are going to go into a restaurant and they're going to say, hey, can I have a Coke? Right. And, they don't even think about whether or not the place serves Pepsi or RC or whatever, right? The thing about it is the reason why Coca-Cola is a household name is for 2 reasons. The first reason is because they spend the most amount of money in advertising, right? And the person who spends the most amount of money in advertising is going to win no matter what. And I don't care whether it's contracting or whether it's Coca-Cola. The second reason why they do it is because they advertise an experience. Like Coca-Cola advertises, hey, it's family time. It's, polar bears and Christmas. It's, Coca-Cola, the experience. Where, even Pepsi, they're like, what's the bulk of their advertising is a blind taste test.
Yeah.
Right? Hell, even Pepsi knows that Coke is better than Pepsi.
Yeah.
And so, but ultimately the point is
there's some people watching that don't like Pepsi. I mean, likes Pepsi better than Coke. And I'm a Coke guy. Pepsi is from North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. I'm still a Coke guy.
Yeah, but the thing is 9 out of 10 people are going to go into a restaurant and they just call it a Coke. It's like literally cola is called Coke just in, in a nomenclature of society, right?
Yeah. They
And
used to
so
say, they used to not even say, hey man, go make a couple of copies of this. It used to always be, go make me some Xerox. Go make
yeah,
a couple of Xerox of this, because Xerox
yeah,
dominated the freaking copier market to where
yep,
it's gone now. But that's they're using that company, that word, that brand. It's like it doesn't even exist anymore.
yeah. Name brands that just become commonplace in language.
Yeah.
It's because and they have just really that's all marketing.
Yeah,
All that
and
comes from marketing.
and that's why like guys are like, oh my god, Brian, if I'm giving 15%, and like I'm saying, man, it's 10, 15, 20% of your every job that you do should go into your marketing budget. And people are like, man, can you spend that much on Google Ads? It's like, no, man, it needs to be everywhere. It's like it could be like supporting your local baseball team, softball team, your whatever. It's like the yard signs, it's the all of that. It's the Facebook ads. I'm not a Facebook guy, but you need to be in front of people, like you said. It's the content videos. I'm telling guys to run ads. It's like it doesn't offer anything except content or making them funny or something, anything. Man, it's just always in front of people, always in front of people, always in front of people. So when they do need their kitchen remodeled, their cabinets rebuilt, home room addition, their floors, it's like, oh my God, I remember those guys. Boom. And they may not even remember you, except for when they go to Google and you show up in Google Maps first, or your ad shows up, and then they, oh my God, that's Anthony from Sunshine Design. Shit, man, I remember that dude. Yeah, he's the dude with the dogs. I love that guy. And they don't even know you, but they think they know you because of all the videos that they've watched with you. Mm-hmm. It's all of it, man. It's never ended. That whole dominate your trade. There's a craziness to the philosophy.
Well, and the other thing too, man, it's like, and I know you've seen it all the time, Brian, is like the guys who are like, word of mouth is the only marketing I need. That's word of mouth. I'm so awesome, I don't have to market. And
go ahead,
that may be true. I mean, that may be true, man. But the truth is, man, it's like you're never going to be able to scale a business beyond just the reach of your referrals. Like it's like you don't just put every egg into the Google basket. That's the biggest basket.
Yeah.
And for you, word of mouth might be one of your biggest baskets. But if it's your only basket, you're relying on this silver bullet to kill a fictitious, creature from a horror movie. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And if you want to take your business to the next level, you have to realize that, man, in the age of information, the internet is word of mouth. Yeah. And I mean, if you're not even willing to throw, a couple $100 at expanding or amplifying the reach of your voice in that regard, well then, you're only going to be able to take things so far. You can only have what's available to you in these two hands. And when you really want to take things to the next level, if that's what you're trying to do, you have to figure out how to buy more time.
Yeah. And here's why that phrase freaking is like kicking me in the nuts, why I hate it so effing much. Because if you're the contractor on these groups and you're going, man, word of mouth, you do good work, that's all you need to do. You don't need no marketing. You don't need no advertising. Good work, that's it, man. Market. It's like, I don't give a fuck about you. God bless you. You're done. I have nothing to say to you. I don't care. One bit iota. God bless you. Hope you have a great life. Hope your kids do well. What pisses me off is like other kids in that Facebook group or any group they're going to read that and go, what? What do you mean? That's all I need to do? No, man, that is not all you need to do. You're better than that dude that just said that. And I don't want someone else buying into that dumbass bullshit. And like you said, it may be good for them. God bless them. I'm happy for you, dude. But if we sit down and we went through your life, you'd be bitching about a lot of stuff, and I could trace it back to word of mouth is all you need. Your life sucks in every fucking other area because you ain't busy enough. You're not spending time with your wife. You're not spending time with your kids. You're not at the baseball games. You're not at your daughter's dance recital. You're not doing what you want to do, playing the softball games on Wednesday night. All of this because you got to beck and call to every client that calls you because all you have is word of mouth. So when they call, you got to stop everything you're doing, run over there like you're begging for crumbs off the table. And I could go on and on and on. It's like, but yeah, you think you're like bullshit. I know you think that's all you need, but if we sit down and we went through every area of your life, you're lacking in a whole lot of them, and it all gets traced back to because you think all you need is word of mouth, and that you're going to be fine. And you're missing out on all these other areas of life. And now the wife and you aren't getting along. I mean, I could go on, and I don't care. God bless you. That's your mindset. I ain't going to try to change it. Don't have time. But the one that it bothers me is because some other kid is reading that going, man, that's all I need. Like, no, man, that is not. Don't buy into that bullshit.
Well, that's why you posted that screenshot of that comment the other day and said it's the worst advice you'd ever seen.
Worst advice. Worst advice. Oh man, worst advice.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's good. It's good to do quality work, man. I mean, and everybody should at least strive to do quality work. But I mean, ultimately, being in business is more than just putting out quality work. You have to be able to serve people correctly. You have to be able to communicate with people. You have to be able to handle the business side of things. And that goes beyond just being able to do your trade well.
So and it's like I don't know. I want to touch on Kari Lake before we get out of here. And it's already an hour and 15 minutes. But you started off giving your a little bit of your background, and you moved up to sold everything and left on a motorcycle and went up to Washington State. And you said you crashed on your motorcycle. Did you get hurt when you crashed on the motorcycle?
Yeah, I'm damn lucky to be alive, man.
Is it? And was it Washington State?
Yeah, I was coming down a hairpin turn on Old State Route 14 in Vancouver, and I was literally 2 minutes away from my house, and I was going home for lunch, and I came around this corner, and I lost control of the bike, and I didn't even have my helmet strapped on. I mean, I had it on, but it wasn't strapped, and came around the corner and lost it into the dirt, and my back tire fell into a ditch that hit a culvert. And my bike just went like this, and I went flying over the front, and my head like a watermelon up against the street 3 times before I started sliding with my feet in the air. And that's when my helmet flew off. And I remember I could still hear my head hit the pavement.
Bouncing.
And,
yeah,
dude.
Because I bring that up because it's because like Bruce Lee was in Washington State and crashed on his motorcycle. So if you see the Bruce Lee movie and crap, it's like he's laying up in the hospital and he's writing his Jeet Kune Do philosophies and martial arts philosophy. And that's when he was laying in the hospital. He wasn't able to train physically. So he was training his mind, and he was trying to write down his systems so that he could explain his philosophies of martial arts to his students. So that's how he ended up in the hospital, was crashing on his motorcycle. The movie says he got in a fight with some Kung Fu school and lost. And he did. He got in a fight with the Kung Fu school because he opened up another, Kung Fu school in the same like shopping center that another established martial arts school was there. So the other school took him to court, and court ruled against Bruce Lee. So he did battle this other martial arts school, but it wasn't like they show in the movies. It was he battled in court and lost. He ended up in the hospital because of the motorcycle thing. And I don't know, maybe that was a wake up call for you or something different, but it's like, so when you tell guys, it's like, man, you got to have a different plan. If you're just working by your hands and making so much money, as great as it is, what happens if you get hurt? So I don't know. Like I'm telling you, it's like, that's why I love you being a part of this show, is because, man, you're in it, man. You're doing it. It's like, it's not something that you're thinking about, or you read a book, or you watched a YouTube video and now you're doing it. It's like, you're actually freaking living it, man. And so to have
white knuckle every day, man.
Yeah, it's like so I don't know, but you said you heard something new about COVID. I haven't heard that. I looked for it.
Well, so I've had it was just crazy. Like the past couple of weeks, I had like each member of my team went down sick, and each one of them were coming back with positive COVID tests, and I was like, what? Are we still doing that? Are we still playing that game?
That's still here.
But like, whatever. I mean, you stay home, don't get us sick. But
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're lying. It's just, to me, it's just like, why the hell is I just can't believe we're still getting these diagnoses,
Yeah. And that whole thing, man, that whole coronavirus, the whole COVID thing, the coronavirus has been around for 70, 80 years or something. It's the leading something for the common cold. And I've heard there is a new variant that's like, and it's showing up with pink eye. My wife had pink eye, and someone else is like, but you're always going to be sick, man. It's just, don't buy into this craziness. The number one cause of sickness, ladies and gentlemen, stress and buying into their bullshit. That's what kills your immune system and lets you susceptible to everything that's going around. You know what else helps? Using that freaking hand sanitizer everywhere that you go, always trying to make sure you're killing germs. You're killing germs. You're supposed to have germs. Let germs seep into your body. You know what that is? That's your immune system doing push-ups. Doing
Yep.
push-ups. It's always staying active. It's always fighting. It's always working out. It's always keeping you healthy. It's like, and to think that you're never going to get these little sicknesses. Kids are supposed to eat boogers as a little kid. That's what helps build the immune system, to put mask on little children and not let them play with each other and eat dirt and get each other sick is the worst thing for the population you can do. Look, trust me. Yeah. We've been around for a couple billion years. We've already worked it all out. We don't need no help from the government telling you to wear a mask and stay scared. That, oh my God, don't buy into it. Stay away. Stay away. I don't know. You want to say anything before we go to Kari Lake?
Yeah, no, I mean, next year it'll be COVID-21 and it'll be another agenda. And it's like there'll be, and everybody will be, become Manchurian candidates so that they can, manipulate everyone around them with guilt and sanctimonious bullshit, really.
Oh my God, it's killing me.
So what's up with this Kari Lake woman that you're talking about?
Man, so Arizona, and so if you were there living in Arizona, so Kari Lake was the news lady. She's kind of cute, but she carries herself well. I like her a lot. Her philosophy is on because I'm more of a libertarian than anything else. I'm like, man, just leave me alone. Live your best life. Let me live my best life. If I can help you live a better life, I'm willing to do it. I don't even care if I like it. I want the best out of and the most out for mankind. Period. Just leave me alone. Don't try to put your bullshit on me. Like if that's what you believe, God bless you. Believe, it's the same thing. If the whole word of mouth is working for you, God bless you, man. Go live it. But that's not the real world. But so she runs, and I still really like her. She's not giving up the ghost. She's still fighting this whole losing the governorship in Arizona, and like the Supreme Court, and her whole thing is valid ID, and she's just going over and over again. But so one of her things was she posted last week was this dude. Jesse Morgan was vindicated because Jesse was one of there's a whole bunch of whistleblowers that were like from the post office that was saying they had taken ballots from other states and driven them up to other states and everybody's saying no, nothing was rigged, nothing was like all this stuff. And I'm with PBD. It's like, if we can't even have a conversation about it, that throws up some red flags to me right off the bat. Let's just talk about it. Let's just read through everything and see where it's all going. But I guess this dude was vindicated. So the report had confirmed that this dude working for the post office, hauled the trailer of ballots from New York to Pennsylvania in late October of 2020, and just showing that because everybody was saying that he was full of shit, he was lying, they were taking to court, and it went on and on. Just look it up. But she's fighting it all over the place. And people want to call her conspiracy theory, this and that, but it's like, dude, start throwing these little words out. It's like, as soon as you don't agree with someone, oh, he's racist, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, oh, he's an anti-vaxxer. It's like, no, let's just have a fucking conversation. Let's just talk about it. That's why, I don't agree with everything Joe Rogan says. Probably only agree with about half of it.
Right.
But I respect the hell out of him for being able to sit down for 3 hours and just have an open discussion, an open dialogue with people. Going, okay, yeah, if that's what you believe, let's show it to me. Let's talk about it. Explain your case. Work it out. And so she's not giving it up, and I respect her for that.
Something that occurred to me the other day, and I don't know why. I've seen it for a while now. For maybe about a couple of years, but there are actually people out there, and I think the population of these people is actually growing, or maybe I'm just becoming more aware of them. But there are people out there, Brian, that actually believe that other humans don't conspire. They're like anti-conspiracy theory, right? It's like humans would never conspire. Like there is no conspiracy theory. The government is completely benevolent. Yeah. They love us, authority cares about us, and they want only the best for us. Like they actually believe that 99.9% of humanity actually gives a shit about them enough to care and, help them, do better in their life when they don't realize that, it's actually the complete opposite. Right. And so it's like, I kind of look at it like this, there's if you look at America, or even the globe, whatever, you look at it like a prison yard, right? There's always 24 conspiracies going on at any given time in the prison yard to control the prison yard, right? There's always 24 gangs conspiring to control the prison yard. And that's just the way it is. And it's like each conspiracy theory or conspiracy against the other always has a shelf life, because why? Well, one gang either defeats the other, or the other gang, self-destructs because they slit each other's throats, right? It's like people actually conspire, and there's people out there who believe this doesn't happen. And to me, it just blows my mind, because it's like you give somebody the power to, completely manipulate a society, and you think they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe it's not to the extent that even I might think, but it just blows me away that there's people out there that believe like there really aren't any conspiracy theories.
Yeah. And it's and then there's the truth of it is like there's some good people in Washington that think that they're like, and that's one of the biggest things me and Joe Rogan really disagree on is he's all for welfare. He's all in because he grew up on welfare a little bit. And like Joe, so did I. And I'm all out because I know exactly what it does to the humans. There's a book called Toxic Charity everybody should read. And it's just donating the money to the guy at the stoplight. You think you're helping. All you're doing is making yourself feel better. You're not helping this guy. My brother lives in Salt Lake City, been there for over 10 years, living in a homeless shelter. No one's helping him at all. Maybe you're just keeping him alive, but that's not living. That's not, you're just existing. You're just taking up space or whatever. It's just, you cannot give, I was telling my daughter earlier today, was like, you can't give somebody something and think that helps them. It doesn't. It actually ends up hurting them on a subconscious level. Just their self-esteem is like, oh, I'm not worthy of earning it. They're just giving it to me. I've got to be taken care of. And I'm all for asking for help. Ask for help, not because you need it, but because you're weak, but you want to remain strong. But that help is something that you're going to earn, because you're going to take it and you're going to do something different. All of that stuff. Welfare is the complete opposite. All of this, giving, the charity, that whole book, Toxic Charity, explains it. Like almost every area of giving. So like, even like the missions that go over, like the Christians or the whatever, they go to Africa, they go to Haiti and all this stuff. And, like 20 people from a church will go over, and we're going to help build these little huts and cabins. And we're going to lay some tile, and we're going to paint these buildings. And they get to go over, and all they're doing is making themselves feel better. The people who make the big money, it's a big money racket for the marketing guy. The guy who sets it all up goes to the church and said, man, we got this village in Africa, whatever, needs all this. And these people at the church start raising money from everybody, and everybody's spreading Jesus' name, and they're doing good, and they're going over there, and they're like, to where you would do better if you just hired the freaking, because you don't, these kids and these people from church don't know anything about laying tile or painting and stuff. And they're over there. So the guy who's teaching them, who could be laying the tile, is like wasting more time. So letting these people from the church help, because they want to be able to go back and say, oh man, we went to this village and we laid some tile and we painted and we did this. And it's like, no, all you did was take work away from someone who could have really earned it and built up their self-esteem and developed a business. And I mean, in the book, they trace it back and show you all the numbers. It's like, you ain't helping anybody. All you're really doing is feeding your own ego, because you want to feel better about yourself because you think that you helped someone. So, and a lot of government programs end up like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a difference between stroking your own ego and actual charity. It's like charity. Like, I think you put I think you hit it on the head. Like, to me, charity is actually an investment of your time more than just your money. Like, it's like, if you want to really help somebody, you go down there and lay the tile yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. There's just some things there's some problems you just can't throw enough money at. Like, some problems don't get solved by throwing money at them.
Well, we talked about earlier is, like I said, that I think the majority of homeowners really just want the kitchen remodeled. They're not trying to stick it to the contractors. They're not trying to rip somebody off. I think that's a very small percentage of people who are trying to take advantage of other humans. But with that said, I think those people find their way into government organizations and work their way into Congress and Senate and the White House. And maybe they don't start out that way, but they end up there realizing that they thought they could help, but the system is too far gone to where now I'm here, I'm going to get mine. I think that's what kind of happens.
There's a guy on TikTok that I follow who actually he makes videos about he follows the market trades of all of the Senate and Congress members, because he knows that they have inside information. So he's always making
smart
videos on the trades like Nancy Pelosi makes.
Yeah, that's smart. Whatever she's
Nancy
buying,
Pelosi just sold 52 million in Nvidia today. You might want to as well.
I want to go that way. That's pretty damn smart. All right, man, that's been an hour and 30 minutes. We've been sitting here running our mouth. Hopefully people are getting some value in this. We're going to do some clips from it. But let us know, reach out to us, something you want us to touch on more. I put in the comments over here. Today's broadcast was brought to you by masteryourbusiness.net, Sunshine Design and Build, Idaho, Washington, Oregon. Man, just moving and grooving. Hope you guys got some value from this. Anything you want to add before we get out of here, Anthony?
No, man, I'm starving. It's time for dinner.
Yeah, you had a long night. We all had a long night. That's like freaking.
I appreciate you accommodating my.
I appreciate you meeting with homeowners and making the big bucks, man. It's just more money to wave at these guys to show them that it can be done. All right, guys, we're out of here, man. Again, we got to come up with a name. We'll do this again next week. I know I'll be on the road, so I'll pull over somewhere and we'll make this happen. All right, guys. God bless.
Everybody.